Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to my channel and welcome if you are new. This video that I am doing today is actually a remake of a video I've already done. It is my second most watched video on my channel and it is probably the cringiest video on my channel, and it's just really awkward. I mean, I'm pretty awkward in general, but it's really hard to watch. It was one of the first videos that I did when I decided to start doing YouTube, and I'm just not happy with it. There was a lawsuit involved, and I don't think I touched on that a whole lot in my first video, and I ended up getting a lot of questions about the lawsuit. And that makes sense. That was a big deal. So I think I'm going to make this video a two-part video. The first video, being this one, is going to basically just talk about finding out that I was pregnant at 18 years old. The second part of the video is going to touch on the lawsuit portion of the story, which is a whole story in itself. So yes, if you clicked on this video and you saw the title, then you know that this video is about me finding out that I was pregnant at 18. And if you've been following me for a while, you may have already heard this story in a more awkward version, but I'm going to retell the story and hopefully it's a lot better. I don't know. I guess we'll see. When I got pregnant at 18 years old, I had just graduated high school and I was in my first semester of college. I was in a pretty unhealthy relationship at the time. He and I get along very well now, but we definitely weren't very good together as a couple. Long story short, very unhealthy relationship. I was definitely living a very party lifestyle, and that's part of the reason why he and I were together in the first place. We kind of fed off of each other's like party lifestyle. He still lived with his parents and his house was very much considered a party house. A lot of people would go there to drink or other things, and not necessarily be unsupervised, but the supervision was kind of lacking and we really could get away with a lot of stuff over there. So that was my lifestyle of choice at the time. He and I were together for a while before I found out I was pregnant. We were probably together for about 3 years before the pregnancy, and I was using protection. I was on birth control, but because of the lifestyle that I was living, I wasn't taking it correctly. And that was the pill. I wasn't taking the pill correctly. So I decided to get on the shot, and that's where the lawsuit comes in. But I just want to make it clear that I wasn't necessarily going around just having unprotected sex. I did know who the father of my baby was right away. There was no question as to who the father of my baby was, and I was trying to protect myself. The very first symptoms that I had in my teen pregnancy were flu-like symptoms, in which case I was vomiting a lot. I was very sick, very nauseous, and I honestly thought I had the flu. I couldn't really get up out of bed. I was calling into work a lot. I was taking time off of school because at the time I was in college, and I was emailing all my teachers saying that I was sick. I thought I had the flu. I wasn't going to be in for a little while, and that little while kind of turned into a long while. And that's when questions started arising as to what was really going on with me. My boyfriend at the time was very adamant that I take a pregnancy test. He was certain that I was pregnant, so he essentially forced me to take a pregnancy test. I didn't want to because I had really written it off in my head that that wasn't a possibility. There was no way that I was pregnant, and in the past I had had these like pregnancy scares and they were always negative, and I guess I just didn't think it could happen to me. I really didn't think that I would be a teen mom ever, so I didn't want to take the pregnancy test. But he went out, he bought the pregnancy test, he brought it to me, and I kind of just took it to humor him. I think I just wanted him to shut up about it, and I really didn't take it seriously. I mean, I seriously took the test, but I didn't take the test seriously. It was one of those clear blue digital tests that you're not looking for a line or a plus sign or anything like that. It straight up says pregnant or not pregnant. So I took the test and I set it down and I went back to lay down because I was just like bedridden. Like I didn't want to get up. Every time I stood up, I threw up. So I went back and laid down, and it wasn't very much longer that he came in with the positive test. And yeah, I found out I was pregnant. I was absolutely terrified. I still remember the feeling. I still remember feeling more sick than I already was feeling. And I think my biggest fear was having to tell people, because this wasn't one of those mess ups that you do and you can kind of just like sweep it under the rug and just pray that nobody ever finds out and you don't have to tell anybody if you don't want to. It's not like that. It's a pregnancy and eventually people are gonna know. I mean, I guess I could have chosen not to tell people, but what good's that gonna do? I mean, they're gonna know eventually, right? So I remember just kind of sitting there stressing about telling my parents, telling my grandparents. Honestly, I was like terrified to tell my grandparents. And I knew that I wasn't in a good relationship. I was also scared knowing that my boyfriend and I probably wouldn't be together for the entirety of this baby's life. So kind of letting it sink in that I more than likely would be a single mom at some point, that was really scary. I was flooded with so many thoughts. And it was hard. It was really, really hard. And I did try to keep it a secret for as long as I could, but being that I was so sick, I think a lot of people already knew or already suspected, and it didn't really take me long before I just had to tell somebody, and that somebody was my mom. My mom was the first person that I told outside of my boyfriend who knew, and actually I thought that I was being smart with the way that I told her. I never wanted to come out and say I'm pregnant because that terrified me. I didn't want to say that to anybody. I didn't even want to say that to myself. So the way that I decided to tell her was by saying that I took a pregnancy test and it was positive. So I did. I sat my mom down. I told her that I got a positive pregnancy test, and she was not happy per se. I think she was disappointed, but she never came out and said that she was disappointed. I think she was more worried than disappointed, knowing the relationship I was in was not a good one, and knowing, you know, my age, and not that I wasn't mature enough to become a mom. I think becoming a mom is instinctual. I mean, you get pregnant, and I mean, for me anyway, I instinctually started taking better care of myself. And then of course when she was born, there is such thing as mom instinct, and it does take over. At least in my experience, it's like I knew right away what to do with her for the most part. Not everything. She was definitely worried, but she was always very supportive of my decision to keep the baby. She did try to push the adoption route on me a little bit. A lot of people did try to push the adoption route on me. Honestly, even my boyfriend at a certain point was kind of leaning towards adoption, but with everything that I was going through in my pregnancy, it was a very, very tough pregnancy, and I was very, very young, and I really didn't feel that I could go through all of the things that I was going through and then hand my baby over to somebody else and watch somebody else raise her. Maybe that's selfish of me, I don't know, but I knew that if I did make that decision, I would pretty much live the rest of my life wondering what if, or living with regret, and I really didn't want to do that to myself. Yeah, that does sound a little bit selfish, but that's the truth. That's really what was going through my mind. My parents were pretty supportive. They were not happy by any means, and I don't think anybody in my family was necessarily happy for me, and a lot of my friends weren't very happy with the relationship I was in, so they weren't necessarily happy for me either. And I was very much alone. I was the only person I knew that was going through this, and this was 2011, and we didn't have like Facebook groups like nowadays. There's all these mommy groups, and there's like pregnancy groups and everything, and I've been a part of those in my later pregnancies, but in this pregnancy I was very much alone. I didn't have anybody, and I didn't have a very good support system as far as people supporting the pregnancy in general. So a lot of the information I was getting, I was kind of researching on my own, and I was just very alone, honestly. I was very, very lonely, and it was a very tough pregnancy, and it was really, really hard. There was a lot of confusion as far as like my future and everything, because when I had found out that I was pregnant, I had just recently toured a university that I really wanted to go to. It was my college of choice, and at the time I was in community college, and I really wanted to start at a community college and then transition to a university. So I had just toured the campus, and I was literally in the middle of signing up to go, and I had plans. I had an idea of what my future was going to hold, and this was kind of a slap in the face, honestly. And I'm not talking about like now. Obviously, I love her to death. I would do anything for her, and if I could go back and change it, I would never ever choose to give her up in a million years. I love my daughter, and she probably saved me. At the time, I wasn't living a very healthy lifestyle. I wasn't making a lot of really good choices, and honestly, becoming a mom was one of the best things that ever happened to me. But speaking from my perspective at the time, I was not very happy. It wasn't a very good, it wasn't a very good change of events. So that pretty much is the story of how I found out I was pregnant at 18. I just want to reiterate that I absolutely love being a mom. That is my life now. If you haven't noticed, if you watch my channel, I am a mom through and through. This is my life, and I love my life, and I love my kids. And I must say, if you are young, take your time. I'd like to tell everybody to take their time, because I don't think you're ever fully ready to become a mom, especially at a young age. And one thing I can say about becoming a mom at such a young age is that I really had no idea what I was getting myself into. And it wasn't until she was there that I fully understood what it meant to be a mom. It's a lot of work, and it changes your entire life. It just kind of turns your whole world upside down. So if you aren't already a parent, please take your time. Don't rush these things. Alright guys, so that is gonna be it for part 1 of this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe again, because the next video that is coming is going to be my part 2, and that is going to be talking about the lawsuit that came along with my wonderful pregnancy. Again, thank you guys for watching, and I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys!